Hey guys, it's Penelope in London. What I'm doing is continuing reading chapter 9 of The Tao of Fully Feeling, the book that you can see on the screen there. And the whole point is that it's a chapter that's basically on healing the way we treat our inner child. So it's self-compassionate reparenting of this book. And I've got 2 videos before this. There's part 1, part 2. So just go back to look for the Heal the Inner Child so that you get the whole chapter. So today what we're doing is reading Talking to and for the Inner Child. And this is page 208 of this book. And I'm just going to go for it. So there's this a little caption here by Robert Stein, and it says, "The way I treat my inner child is the way I'm going to treat my outer child." And this is the absolute truth. So however we're treating ourselves inwardly, we do project that out into the world. And when we begin to form a bond with our inner child, we begin to evolve the mistreatment that we had. We can have a lot of disdain for ourselves. I just had a little messenger with somebody on that. Actually, they called up a picture that I posted of a little person, you know, like a little girl a year ago, and how hard it was for me to connect with my inner child, because when we're treated without, you know, there's lack of love or disdain or just not enough attention, we can basically treat ourselves inwardly the same way. And then as adults, we might see that we find it hard to complete things or get things done, or we have very low self-worth, and we look in the mirror and we have self-hatred. So babies, the first couple of years, you know, absolutely they need a mirror, because that's how they learn. So all of the gooing and the garring and the love sent towards a child will then be reflected back to the parent, and vice versa. So interesting when we begin to understand, and as through knowledge, we get to integrate this stuff. It doesn't happen overnight, so don't beat yourself up if you're not there yet. It happens step by step, and just knowledge when it keeps flowing towards us. So I'm going to read anyway. "We heal ourselves with self-fathering when we use our anger and blame to challenge inner messages of shame and hate. Speaking up in a protective way for the inner child makes it safe enough for her or him to once again inhabit consciousness. You might benefit from reviewing the self-talk techniques in chapter 7 that show us how to protect the inner child from the attacks of the inner critic parent. Toxic shame often erupts with no warning. I try to father and defend my child at such times by rejecting these echoes of my parents' shaming messages. I explain to him that my parents have and had no right to talk to him that way. If I have numbly repeated the lies and shamings of old authority figures, I apologize to him, being the inner child, and recommit to eliminating this old self-destructive habit, because it is a habit. When we shame ourselves and blame ourselves, it's an old destructive habit that has to go. So in Pete Walker's book, Complex PTSD From Surviving to Thriving, he does talk about dealing with the inner critic. Continuing reading. I usually supplement my self-fathering with the kind of mothering that feeds self-esteem with positive and supportive statements. I imagine my inner child sitting on my lap or resting in my heart, and I remind him that he is absolutely and eminently lovable just as he is, and then I soothe him with words of this nature. Okay, so I'm going to read what Pete Walker says, you know, of this sort of nature, what he would say, words, so you can listen to this. I love to have you near me, Pete. You are such a joy to me. I love it when you talk to me and tell me how it is for you. I want to hear everything you have to say. I want to be the one person you can always come to whenever you need help. You can come to me when you are hurting, when you just want company, or when you want to play. You are always welcome. You are a delight to my eyes, and I always enjoy having you around. You are a good boy, very special and absolutely worthy of love and respect and all the good things. I am so proud of you and so glad that you are alive. I will help you in any way that I can. I want to be the loving mom and dad you were so unfairly deprived of, and that you much deserve. And I want you to know that I have an especially loving place in my heart for you when you are scared or sad or mad or ashamed. You can always come to me and tell me such feelings, and I will be with you and try to soothe you until feelings run their natural course. I want to become your best friend, and I will always try to protect you from unfairness and humiliation. I will also seek friends for you who are genuinely like you and who are truly on your side. We will only befriend people who are fair, who treat us with equality and respect, and who listen to us as much as we listen to them. I want to help you learn that it is really good to have needs and desires. It's wonderful that you have feelings. It's healthy to be mad and sad and scared and depressed at times. It's natural to make mistakes, and it's okay to feel good too, even to have more fun than your mum and dad did. At other times, when my heart opens to my inner child, I tell him how much I wish I could have saved him from the constant yelling and hitting. I remind him that I feel especially tender towards him when he cries or gets angry about how much he got picked on or knocked down and around and about by the adults that had power over him. I also remind him of my patience and empathy for his fear around unknown adults, how he could not sometimes how could he not sometimes flash back in fear, afraid of being suddenly slapped or criticized by them? I reassure him that I will never allow anyone to abuse him again. No one will be allowed to slap him with a hand or with words. I remind him that I am healthy, have healthy anger now that can be summoned up to ward off or write off abusers. So, it's okay to say no to people as well, because we would have been taught in childhood that it was not okay. So that's something else. When we constantly give our inner children this kind of support, we suffer less and less paralysis from toxic shame. We become skilled at transforming the inverted anger of self-hatred into a defense against the critical parent. Parental rulership of our psyches gradually dissipates, and we are able to treat normal mistakes as learning experiences rather than as proof of our defectiveness. The demon of perfectionism loses its grip on our psyches, and we begin to cherish our differences and imperfections as the unique treasures of character and being that they are. I have been so healed through this process that I now value many things about myself that were formerly perpetual sources of shame and self-abandonment. When I used to disparage as my moodiness now strikes me as an emotional richness and flexibility. My need for considerable introversion, which used to be my all-time greatest defect, has now become the much appreciated matrix of my rich inner life. My streak shooting in basketball no longer sends me down the drain of toxic shame, although I will probably always prefer the hot streaks to the cold ones. Moreover, I can now savor my new few remaining addictions: non-stop gum chewing, long telephone conversations, daily grilled cheese sandwiches, writing with ink in books, and crying at sentimental movies. I can also graciously accept the moans that I occasionally evoke in others via my habit of telling bad jokes. Even my feelings of inferiority about my appearance have almost totally vanished. I now really like the imperfections that for many years made me feel ugly. I wouldn't dare approach the opposite sex. I have grown to love my freckles, my leanness, my oft broken nose, my eyebrows that grow together, and the big space between my front teeth. And perhaps best of all, I now frequently hear a voice that automatically says, "I love you," instead of the nice going klutz whenever I accidentally drop or bump into something. I have also noticed that since my inner critic lost its job as boss of my consciousness, I am far less critical and perfectionistically expectant of others. I believe this has made me safer and more comfortable to be around. Others seem to be able to be more authentic and vulnerable with me. This in turn creates a mutuality of safety and authenticity that allows me to make new friends on an ongoing basis. As new friends come into my life, my sense of belonging increases and now begins to feel like something comfortably tribal. I feel as though the enormous loneliness of my loveless youth is largely dissipated, and it continually decreases as my social network expands through meeting good people from all walks of life. Formerly limited to only engaging with those who were closely mirrored by my beliefs and values, I now find myself enjoying an ever-enlarging sample of people. How fascinating our diversity in responding to the complexities of human existence. One of my greatest delights is being a therapist in witnessing my clients making similar gains in their lives through reparenting. Many develop trustworthy relationships for the first time in their lives. Many wake up from years of stagnation to become wholeheartedly excited about the new endeavors of old reclaimed enthusiasms. How wonderful it is when a client comes to proudly report that over the weekend she flew a kite, made a friend, climbed a tree, took a dance class, started a garden, went roller skating, frolicked on the water slides, and enrolled in an arts and crafts class, or identified 15 different wildflowers on a camping trip. So I'm going to leave that there today. And the next bit in the same chapter is going to be about self-mothering. And I hope you really enjoy this, and do reach out, comment below and subscribe to my channel, because I'm doing the work of, putting astrology and symbols out there, and the work of complex PTSD to help people heal those parts of themselves that feel uncomfortable. Thanks for watching.